Okay, hello. My name's Coach Adam Dorrel. I'm the head football coach at Abilene Christian University. Thanks for being here with me today. I appreciate the opportunity from Hudl to let me speak. I really enjoy doing this. One of the things that I try to do anytime I'm listening to a speaker is I always feel like, in a 45 minutes to an hour session, if I can walk away with one nugget of information that helps me, then it's been very useful to take my time to listen to that speaker. So with that being said, I really try to not spend 45 minutes to an hour on just one topic, with the theory being, hey, if you like what you see, then you can research it more. You can certainly reach out to myself or staff if there's anything we can do to help perpetuate what you saw today. So with that being said, we'll get started here. Today, I'm going to talk about offensive line drills and developmental planning. And it's a whole sequence from start to the end. One of the things that I'm trying to focus on is giving you tools that can help you with the developmental planning. One of the things I think that's unique about me is, I started in the NAIA. I was a Division II coach and now Division I coach. So I certainly recognize that sometimes we don't have resources that the Power Fives do, some of the big colleges do. So trying to be really creative and resourceful in what we do with our players. And bottom line, it's an educational point on getting them to understand what you're trying to do, because you don't always have the time to be with them. Just an outline here. We're going to look at our daily drills. We're going to talk about education on film study. We're going to talk about how we exit interview our players in a 4 or 5 year time span, and then just talk about the diet, nutrition, strength, and conditioning that goes along with this. I do want to go ahead and apologize for the lack of video on drills. We had a fluke storm come through Texas, and we've been out of power for about 3 days at school. So I just was very limited on my film, but I'll do the best I can with what we have. So just starting off, this is what we talk about daily in our football program at the tight end, fullback, offensive line position. We talk about S.H.A.P.E. It's an acronym. We beat this into our kids' heads early. It simply states stance and start, hand violence, ass down, play with the wide base, eyes the aiming point. I've been an OLine guy my whole life. I played offensive line in college. And to me, we're a sum of our experiences. I have found that the best players I ever coached at that position were able to do these 5 things on a consistent basis. So as you can see in the bottom, I'm just stating, if an offensive lineman can do these 5 things consistently on game day, my experience tells me that he's going to be a really good player. The key here is incorporating drill work consistently to train those skills that are essential, and so I always challenge our staff, especially young coaches, obviously with the all the video out right now on YouTube, Hudl, there's a lot of drill work that goes on out there. And the thing I always come back to them on is, if it doesn't fit into the S.H.A.P.E. acronym for a stance and start, to help a kid with a stance and start, or his hand violence, or to get his butt down, or play with the wide base, then it's probably not, usable in what we're trying to do. So let's just start. I'm going to go through these here. S.H.A.P.E. Training the offensive linemen to self-assess themselves and their peers is also essential, in my opinion, in creating a culture of buy-in and belief in that S.H.A.P.E. acronym. And you'll see towards the end of this, as we go through the stance and start, the hand violence, the ass down, playing with the base, you'll see that we have a assessment tool that they use on their own. Obviously, we don't have time to go through each one of these things, watching practice film or game film with them. We have them grade themselves after every practice, after every rep they tape. So I think you'll see this coming into fruition. So stance and start, we do some form of stance and start every day. I prefer to do it underneath the chute, obviously. You can get better reps as far as playing with pad level, but we're just going to go through the stance and start. We're going to go 6 ways. We're going to go right foot base, right foot zone, right foot bucket step / kick step. And then we're going to go through the same thing with the left foot. So they're going to go through this thing 6 times a day, 3 with the right, 3 with the left. Again, it's better underneath the chute. If you want to have a bag holder out there, you certainly can, but you don't have to. Here's what it would look like coming out of a chute with the one man. I'm looking at his feet. How was his position step? How was his power step? So we're saying this is a base step, base right, left. I'm not worried about the hands right now. That comes later. We're simply critiquing the first start of this thing. Every day, we are going to do some form of stance and start to initiate their mindset of, hey, getting off the football with good, proper steps. And again, there's 1,000 ways you can do this. I mean, there's obviously, that. So it's not about how you do the stance and start. It's about that you're precise with it, that it's getting critiqued, and more importantly, that you're working on it daily. Okay, moving on. This is just a two-man stance and start. We put some defenders out there for landmarks. I don't always put the best film on there. If you can see right now at the left tackle, we're zoning left, so it should be a flat/neutral step. Pad level is not great. Again, that's why I love doing these under the chutes and the sleds. But he's going to step, pass off. But if you look at the backside guard coming, his stance and start, stance is fine, start not. He's stepping on himself with his left foot, and he's crossing over on the backside foot. So let's talk about the stance portion here for a second. I understand that varies from offense to offense. What we try to do is to get our guys, whether left side, right side, in a stance that looks the same to the defense, the linebackers, to defensive linemen, so we're not giving things away. And we simply ask them in a 3-point stance or a 2-point stance to be able to do the 6 steps, 3 to the right, 3 to the left. So when I'm looking at their stance, we want their knees bent, depending on their height. Our guys stagger a little bit more. Don't want a super wide base to start because I think it hurts that first step. But we're telling them to get comfortable. We've got slight weight distribution on the front hand. We're not an option team where we've got too much weight on the front hand that we can't step laterally or step in the bucket. We're a pro-style outside zone football team. And so it's neutral weight on the front hand. I can walk around in front of them, and if I pull their hand and they fall forward, that's too much weight on the front hand. Okay. But out of a stance, they should be able to step with the right foot, base, that's slightly forward at a 45. Zone step to the right, that's more of a flat looking at the outside shoulder, and then what we call a bucket step on outside zone or a kick step. It's the same trajectory, same angle, so to speak, with the right foot, and then do the exact same 3 steps on the left foot. So that's how we're critiquing their stance from day one. We're trying to get them in a stance they're not giving away the play and being able to step those ways. Hands and hips, again, you can do this on a sled. I like it on the sled personally because you can get more reps quicker. But we're just shooting the hands, working on the hand violence portion of S.H.A.P.E. So we've gone stance and start. Now we're into hand violence. Shooting the hands up and through, rolling the hips. Obviously, the hips are helping loosen up our body for muscle memorization, but this is more focused on the hand violence. The things that I'm critiquing here, you want to see thumbs up. It amazes me how many times guys try to punch with their thumbs down. We talk about driving the bus, properly holding. Just like in driver's ed, you want to be at 10 and 2, man, on that breastplate. But to have good power, to get your weight room power from your triceps, your shoulders, you've got to be able to have the thumbs up and shoot through. So you can do this. These are power punches, we call them. And then we'll come off this and we're going to go, hey, we're going to go right hand, machine gun. So it's just like a boxer. He's going to shoot his right hand into that bag as fast as he can, as powerful as he can for 5. And then he goes with the left. And then we go 2-hand box punch where we're as fast as we can. Boom, 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 boom. It's just, again, working on the hand violence portion of it and the quickness of it, the speed of it, fast hands, fast hands. And then after we go through that, then we'll come back and finish up with this. These are power punches where we're going as powerful as we can, probably more realistic on a given football play of just shooting our hands up and through. So hand violence, this is the hand violence portion of it. Again, there's 1,000 things you can do on it, but what works best for you because of what you have. Again, this is just some other guys doing it at a different angle. Again, we're looking for thumbs up. That's the big portion of the thing, shooting up and through. Okay, ass down. So now we're on A. So we've gone stance and start, hand violence. Now we're looking at playing with our ass down. So we're not high. Again, this is a pass pro form of it. We're going to put our hands behind our back and just have their buddy step out in front of them, hand on the chest, hand on the neck. We're going to get them in a good set, make them hold it there for a second. And then they're just going to roll through this thing, try to pull them a little bit, push them. We're checking their balance. I'm looking at this guy right here, Cade. His feet are a little bit too wide for me. I want to see him narrow up that base. But I didn't want it all to be run base stuff. I mean, this acronym applies for pass protection as well. Stance and start, you got to have a good kick step at the tackle position. Obviously on pass pro, we want to have hand violence. And then we want to have our butt down and have a good position when we're pass pro. And so again, the acronym holds true for run pass. A lot of ways you can do it, but just it's the daily incorporation of finding a way to do this. Okay, playing with the wide base here. Again, here's the run portion of it. Again, we're going to get them fitted. All right. Again, I like this a lot better with the board underneath them and a chute out in front of them. The guy on the right has too much knee over toe. He's going to get pulled forward. But again, this is a daily drill. We're emulating that we've had a good stance and start, that we had good hand violence. And now we're teaching them to play with their butt down, over a board, under a chute, drive it out. And after about 5 yards, the defense moves laterally either way. And we're just checking the offensive lineman to make sure they're not crossing their feet when they redirect and they don't have too much knee over toe and getting pulled forward. Obviously, when we get pads on, we let the defenders go a little bit more live to try to pull them to their face. But again, this is the ass down, wide base portion of this thing right here, trying to get an offensive lineman to do that. Okay, and then just going to watch a little film here. And so you can see how we try to critique these guys. This is just a power scheme front side. So you're sitting here looking at this, and let's go through and talking about what, wide base. Are we playing with the wide base? Front side combo on the 3-tech. Yeah, it's good. Puller, good skip pull. We'll talk about pulls a little bit more later, but he's got a good wide base. Backside tackle, he steps down, he's got a wide base. Okay. Don't love the right tackle. The combo's good, but if you look when he moves to level 2, he's crossing his feet. But again, just teaching the guys how to critique their shape, and you're going to see that more here in a second. Here's another way that we try to incorporate the acronym of S.H.A.P.E. This is called, I call this a Bronco drill. I got this from Boise State years ago. Love running this drill in camp. It's a very competitive, high energy drill. We have an offense and defensive lineman, and then 5 yards apart are your tight ends, your fullbacks, right in this area. And then down the road, you've got the defensive backs and the wide receivers. These guys start a little late to make it a little bit more realistic, and so they're not crushing each other. But again, we're just trying to get guys to fire off the football, have good shape in a competitive type setting. And we're going to get these guys running through it. We got a ball carrier in the backfield. So if you're looking here at the offensive lineman, just critiquing himself, his get-off's good. Pad level's not great. I don't think his hand violence is good. His hands are on the outside. Ass down, playing with the wide base. We'll talk about eyes to aiming point in a second. Just okay. Go up and look at the fullback portion of it. Not good. Fullback's hands are outside. Didn't step. Ass isn't down. He is not playing with a wide base. So this is a Bronco drill. We roll through this. We get guys going through there. And as you'll see here in a second, again, any chance these guys get a chance to critique their shape, they're going to do that. All right, here's another look at it. We look at the guard. At level 1, nice job. Watch his stance and start. Don't love his first step. It's too far back. Hand violence seems pretty good. He's playing with the wide base. He's running his feet. Not bad shape. If you go to level 2 and look at the tight end, stance and start, horrific. Standing straight up in the air. He's zone stepping on the right foot. He doesn't bring his back foot. There's no position and power with the stance and start. He's way too high. Again, that's everything you don't want at level 2 right there. But again, this is just another drill to teach it, get in a competitive setting, get going against the defense. I like it a little bit better than the Oklahoma type drills. To me, it keeps guys from falling into each other as much. All right, let's talk about eyes to aiming point. Obviously, that's the portion of our acronym SHAPE that you might be wondering, well, how do you train that? So eyes to aiming point, it goes through 2 things. Obviously, with our run schemes and our pass schemes. This is a pre-snap thing that we talk about with our guys and a post-snap thing we talk about our guys, and it's all schematics. And so let's talk about our runs. Anytime that we are pulling, you know, I've run the power scheme a lot. We major in power, we minor in counter, but it doesn't matter. To me, if a puller is not able to pre-snap his pull, see what he's pulling into, you know, is it a wide 9? He's got to know that. So we're talking from a pulling standpoint. Eyes to our aiming point is a pre-snap. Hey, what are you doing on power? What are you doing on counter? I've got a peak front side, and I've got to get my eyes to my aiming point and see what I'm doing. So that's one. Let's go to inside zone. So we talk about the inside zone aiming point for linebackers at level 2. It's on the backside shoulder, because the way we run our inside zone, most likely it's going to cut back. All right, let's go to our outside zone. We major in OZ. And so when we start talking about OZ, whether we're running OZ or we're running tack and spy and we're pinning and pulling, our aiming point now goes to the front side shoulder. So pass, and then let's go to the last one here. Let's talk about a pre-snap eyes to aiming point. We give all our guys a triangle, and we talk to them about, hey, pass protection, who's in your triangle. Obviously, it's going to include the defensive lineman in front of them. It's going to include the flat area defender if it's a tackle, and the inside backer. Obviously, that varies a little bit week to week on who we're playing, what's their favorite blitz. But our eyes to aiming point pre-snap on a pass is that triangle. We always try to identify 1 to 2 people per game that we're playing that, hey, who's going to tip the blitz? That's one of the things we really get our guys honed in on. So we'll look at a few of these here, and then these are pre-snap pulls. So we're just talking about running power here. We're down. Left guard was one of our best pullers. It's hard to see him doing it, which is good. You know, you don't want a bird dog every time you're pulling at that guard spot and make it obvious. He does a phenomenal job at pulling and pre-snapping his gaps. He's one of the best I've ever coached at it. And he gets a lot of really good shots on power. But, I mean, when you talk to him about it, his comfort level of, hey, my pre-snap pull is making me very confident on where I'm going, how I'm going to fit through the hole. And then he's going to get through there with violence. All right, let's look at some more here. All right, watch the right guard. The right guard's going to pull here. So this is what we call turbo play. He's going to open step pull and kick out the defensive end. We're on the goal line. We've made a call where we're not pitching it. The quarterback's going to keep it. And so, again, he's going to pre-snap his pull. He's got a stand-up technique. I talked to him about that. You get a stand-up defensive end, it's very easy for those guys to see you coming on a pull, you know. So you got to attack the inside shoulder, pre-snap the pull. He stand up, attack the inside shoulder on the kick block. Don't let him wrong arm you. But again, if he doesn't see that pre-snap, that's where I see a lot of young guys that struggle to pull early in their careers. it's not the technique of pulling. It's not that they don't understand the concept. To me, it all goes back to eyes to aiming point. If you don't pre-snap that pull, man, it's not good. So excellent job by the guard being on that inside shoulder and trapping that kid. Great job. Here you can see a butt shot of it here. He could have been a little bit more on the inside shoulder. We go from a skip pull to an open step pull based on the scheme, based on what we're doing. But that really doesn't matter, man. It's got to be the pre-snap pull. Hug that thing, scrape paint, get underneath. It's not bad. Okay, let's look at some more here. Here's one again, goal line, 69. Watch his head, left guard. He'll slightly look over there. See him peek. And again, he's one of the best I've ever coached at the pull. He's just very good at it. Knows where he's going to get his fit, a lot of confidence in his ability to pull. But it all goes back to the pre-snap, man. Yeah, there's fundamentals with the pull, but if you're going to be a good power team, to me, you got to get guys to understand pre-snap the pull, understand where they're going to fit based on the concept. Same thing. This is just an open step pull. It's our hard power. He knows he's going to kick out the first thing across the LOS. Great job of getting his head, shoulders underneath. But peak the pull before you get over there. That's the most important thing. Okay, so let's talk about eyes to aiming point as it pertains to a blitz pickup. Again, we're going into a game giving guys triangles. I can tell you right now, you see the center pointing to 42. A big deal for us when these guys were in double Bs that year. Something was rotten in Denmark, we call it. That was triggering his pre-snap triangle that a blitz is coming. So it doesn't just pertain to run schemes, it pertains to pass. Trying to get those guys honed in on that. All right, this particular team right here, this year when 43, the middle linebacker, and the wheel 38 were off on different levels, it was a pretty consistent blitz pattern because they would do some Mike wheel press and they were on the same level. But when they were off levels, they were coming. So again, eyes to aiming point, it holds true for run. You're going to see some more run stuff here in a second. But how does it pertain to pre-snap blitzing? Just a couple of simple things. We don't try to get them into too much stuff weekly. 32 was a good blitzer. You're going to see him on the left side of the screen. He was a guy that we identified as a blitz key for them. Right tackle sees him walk up. He's going to make his fan call. So again, pre-snap eyes to aiming point. Okay, here's another one from a blitz. If you look at how close the mic and the wheel are pre-snap, again, that was a huge indicator to this game for us, and that we were just going to call it. We were going to trust the call, eyes to aiming point. We knew a blitz was coming. Okay, so let's look at some post-snap linebacker shoulder on OZ. So we're going to talk about IZ in a second, so let's go to OZ. Eyes to aiming point should be the outside shoulder for our guys that are working level 1 and level 2. So let's go to the right guard. Really good job by the right guard. Eyes to aiming point. He's on the outside shoulder. Very good job. Let's go to the center. This is outside zone. It's not good by the center. He's got a zero nose. He's got to reach that. He's got to step flatter and deeper and run around. He's trying to run around and run through that kid at the same time. He's way too flat. So his eyes to aiming point are not good here. He should be way on that outside shoulder. All right, we're going OZ left. Let's start with the backside tackle. If you look at the backside tackle, no, he would have got a negative for eyes to aiming point. It's outside zone. He's on the backside shoulder. He needs to be on the front side shoulder. This thing's either going front side or it's cutting back. And when I say cutting back on the OZ play up and through, it's very rarely does it get all the way to that backside. Excuse me. Let's look at this one more time. So Don't like the backside tackle. Don't like the backside guard. He needs to step in the bucket deeper, and he needs to get his hat front side. Definitely don't like the front side guard. 3 tech, he's got the center coming with him. That needs to be a reach combo. He needs to post up and through that kid, but it starts with eyes, man. He's way too flat. If he's got good eyes to aiming point, it's going to widen his step, widen his trajectory. All right, we're going to go OZ to the right here. Horrible stance and start by the tight end. That would be a total F for his S.H.A.P.E acronym. Let's look at the right tackle, eyes to aiming point. I like it. He's on the outside shoulder. It's outside zone. Center, nose, 2 eye slants away. Center needs to work vertical. But just looking at eyes to aiming point, nice job by the backside guard. Now finish. The left guard on the backside, man, it's a great post. Now on 32, he needs to have his eyes front side, his head front side, because it's outside zone. He would have widened that gap for the ball carrier on the cut up and through. Okay, don't like the right tackle. It's outside zone. Eyes to aiming point need to be on the outside. Nice job by the puller. He's cutting. If you're going to cut, you got to cut the outside leg. So again, you can just see the acronym coming to fruition during run concepts. This is just going to be a few clips of the inside zone. Here's the one I wanted to show you. So we're running inside zone. Watch the left tackle. Left tackle almost cost us a big play here. He needs to get his head front side on that kid to expand the gap and press him up and through. He's choking off the whole backside. Eyes to aiming point for the tight end. He's on the slice kick out block, needs to be the inside shoulder. Again, being more physical. But we don't do a lot of running schemes. We're power, counter, outside zone. We do some pin and pull. So we really try to get these guys to understand aiming points and how it pertains to inside zone, outside zone. Okay, so let's put this thing all together right now. So we've talked about S.H.A.P.E, stance and start, hand violence, ass down, play with the wide base, eyes to aiming point. Let's go and talk about how we do this. Here's a S.H.A.P.E sheet that we use daily with our players. They have to fill this thing out on their own. It just has to be turned in before practice so the coaches can go through it and look at it. Guys, simply what we're doing right here is anytime they're in, they put the clip number, they write down the situation, down and distance, play name, what the defensive front was, and then they're just going to go through on S.H.A.P.E and circle a deficiency. So on play 1, if their hand violence was bad, they're going to circle the H and write out why the hand violence was bad. So again, this is a daily deal that these guys do. And here's a filled out one. Doesn't take long, but this is stuff, obviously you don't have time to stop in your meetings and critique 5 offensive linemen's S.H.A.P.E every snap. It's something they have to buy into. They have to understand how to do it. Yes, you have to mentor them. You have to teach them, especially when they're young and new into your program. That's where we really rely on our veterans. We try to get the young guys early in their career to fill out their S.H.A.P.E sheets with an older guy. Man, they can do it over lunch. Obviously, they've all got iPads and computers now, and we print these things out and hand these to these guys, and they've got a stack of them in their rooms so they can grab them and go. The biggest thing that I've found is it gives buy-in to what we're trying to do with our acronym, number 1. Number 2, as a coach, it shows you, does this kid knows what it means when his stance and start isn't good? And a lot of times when they're young, they don't get it, and they're not probably critiquing themselves as hard as you are. So that's where the coaching comes in, looking at their S.H.A.P.E sheet, disagreeing, agreeing, making some notes on them. But bottom line, it's a daily thing you practice. It's a daily thing they critique themselves on. And again, in my 20-something years of coaching offensive line, the best guys that I've ever coached understand the S.H.A.P.E acronym and how it works and how it pertains to what we're trying to do. All right, let's flip gears here. So we just went through S.H.A.P.E. I want to talk about film study. Again, I know we're all limited on time with our players. One of the things that I found out early in my coaching career, it was, hey, you need to watch film. And, a lot of guys don't understand that. They all come from different backgrounds as far as their football, what I call football IQ. So again, we don't assume anything in our program. We try not to. We sat down really early in their careers and have conversations with them about how to watch film. So again, I started doing this 10 to 12 years ago, and I feel like it really helped keep those guys on key on what they're watching. Obviously, everybody's offense is different. You got to critique it to what you want. But again, this is giving guys tools to keep them on track on watching film, on what you want them to watch, what you want them to fill out, how you do it. Again, these guys we're a huge academic school here at Abilene Christian University, guys. Depending on our year in our recruiting class, our ACT average has been anywhere from a 22 to a 25. So academics are very important here. We've got to utilize every minute we get with these guys, but more importantly, we try to give these guys tools when they're not over at our facility and they want to watch film on their own with Hudl. Obviously, Hudl is such a great tool. It's so mobile that these guys have stacks of these sheets for the whole year. And so just things that we're looking at and what we want to do in our offense, we simply put down on the sheet, and we have these guys go through this. The big thing for me is, I want guys to have a sheet filled out on Sunday, one on Monday on a different opponent, and then their third one needs to be done by Wednesday. So, we're really getting 2 of these sheets done so these guys have a good idea of their opponent and what they're doing, how they're going to do it. And then the next one here, I started doing this when I was a player, just charting. If you watch a whole defensive line and you go through it, we're going against guys that are playing, 4 to 5 defensive ends a game. A lot of them are flipping sides. What I've really tried to get guys to understand is a couple things. If you will tally pass rush moves, and you're denoting who's doing it, that sequence jumps way down. And let me explain to you where I think this is super important. This really pertains to all 5 linemen, but in my opinion, the tackles. So these guys are doing this one Sunday, one Monday, and then again another one Wednesday. The whole point here is what I challenge them on this is like, hey, you're the left tackle. Does the defensive end flip? Okay, yes. He's number 97. Okay. What is he? Is he a good pass rusher? Yes, he's coach. He's one of the best pass rushers we've seen this year. We say, okay, we're going to put him in a red jersey, and then we're going to educate the scout kid on what we need to see, and we're watching that with our guys. But just again, tying the video together, how can we make it as realistic? I understand the scout team kid isn't going to be as good as the dude we're playing against, but if he can mimic, if it's hey, he likes to swipe or long stick with his inside arm, or he loves to set it up with an up and inside move with the rip. We try to get that detail just based on what these guys watch on Sunday, Monday. Take that over to the scout team and say, hey, this is what I need to see from you this week. And so, again, trying to get these guys on track on, hey, not just watching film, but how are you watching film and how you're going to do it. Okay. And then moving on, one of the things that I'm really big on is with our staff is less is more. And, we're just going through this process right now. We're starting spring football in a couple weeks. So we just went through entire offense, defense, special teams here in the last month. Obviously, we've watched all of our cut-ups. What are we good at? What are we bad at? What are we wasting time on? What do we not need? And so we've gone through and cut out. And then what I have our guys do is every position coach makes a list of terms and things that they have to teach at their position based on the offense, defense, special teams. We then bring the players in, and then the players fill it out. And so we're getting a baseline before spring football starts, and then we're going to give them the exact same test after spring football. And obviously we want to see a lot of movement there. I always tell our coaches this, from my standpoint as a head football coach, if a kid can't do something physically, that's one thing. But if you're giving a kid something and, a test before spring ball and he's getting a 70%, and then at the end of spring ball, he's getting a 70%, and it's mental, we got a problem. I tell our guys, and I'm a firm believer, if our players can't recite something to you back as a coach, that's on us. We're wrong. And they don't know it. And to go into a meeting room and start your daily install and then spend the last 5 minutes going, does anybody have questions? I have felt that that's not a recipe for understanding, do your players really know what you expect out of them? So we just try to use some basic things. This is a Cahoots test. You'll see Eric Kapichulik at the top there. He's in the program. If you guys don't know who he is, man, he's been a life changer for me from goal setting. You can see his story online, but he's absolutely phenomenal. We've really dived into his leadership tactics in our program. So this was Cap, call him Cap. Cap had just got done giving our team a video Zoom presentation last spring. And then so what we did is we went through and took his top takeaways. We put it in a Cahoots test, and it's a app you can install on your phone. Very easy to do, very easy to make these tests. Send them out to your players. We all know how much our guys love being on their phones and social media, and you give them a test by position. So our coaching staff uses Cahoots a lot. They use it a lot now in spring football. They'll use it in the summer. They'll use it in the fall. Generate a Cahoots test Thursday, after the game planning, after you've been through practice, and hey, Friday by noon, we're traveling. You need to get online and do your Cahoots test. And it's spitting out the results of what these guys are grading out on. And it's a really, really simple way to know, does this guy understand what he's doing? Does he not understand what he's doing? What does he understand? What does he not understand? So again, you're not getting into this realm of assuming, hey, I'm assuming that I know what's going on in our program, okay? Other tools I use, guys, that are, again, free, Google survey. This was one. I give, as a head coach, I give about 4 Google surveys to our team a year. And as you can see here, I'm trying to articulate to them, why are we doing this? I say, hey, understand that if you put something down that you believe needs to be fixed and only 10% of the team is agreeing with you, well, that's probably not a reason for me to change. But if vice versa, if I get these Google surveys back and they're going at 70-something percent, 65-something percent, then as a leader, I need to look at that and say, okay, our guys don't understand this. They don't believe in it. They're not buying into it. And I get very in-depth on these things, as you can see. Offensive goals, answer as a unit. Do you understand our offensive goals and why we have these goals? And again, I'm giving the guys a chance to have honest feedback for us. We tell them on these Google surveys, there's obviously other questions that they write in on. For me, we just say, hey, you can't just go in there and put down a couple words. We need sentences to know that you know what you're talking about and to articulate what we're doing. And again, this day and age, to me, it's also allowing guys to buy into, I'm trying to want to be a player-led football team. The best football teams I've ever coached were player-led. And as we all know, that's not easy. And so again, I'm trying to give them buy-in that to be a player-led team and to give them feedback, to give them a voice on what they like in our program, what they don't like, things that we can do better. Okay. And then exit interview profile, guys. I think this is a place where we really shine, and something I've always tried to do everywhere I've been. This is an example of an exit interview sheet. Our whole staff uses it for every position. And we track these things for 4 years on guys in our program. We do exit interviews twice a year with the players. We do it after fall, and then we'll do it after again in spring football. but we update their class, their GPA, weight, obviously. We give them a mental toughness grade and a physical toughness grade. Tardies, missed class, disciplinary issues, that's always on there. We go through and do an eval, as you can see there, talking about Cade. And then you look left in the middle, strengths. We talk about his strengths, leader. He positively is confrontational with players, holding them accountable. Talk about the experience, how many games he started, strong. And then we go over and look at his weaknesses, talk about that, what he needs to do, hand placement, use his hands incorrectly too many times. And then we go down and we talk about coach goals, what we want him at, body weight, talking about improving his hand mechanics. And then we're giving him a drill prescription for the off season, obviously extra lift, but protein, and then partner bag punches because his hands. So again, we're just trying to provide feedback consistently to these guys. If you look there, and I'm going to jump into this one more in a second, weight and body fat, that's just something I'm huge on. And I think there's just a natural tendency right now to have too many guys walking around that are too heavy. And it's really hard for us as coaches to understand that if we don't know their body fat. Again, I understand getting body fat and you don't have the tools to do that. So I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. Here's another example, Truett, great player, program guy we love. So again, just a profile sheet. Truett's getting these twice a year. There's Mitchell's. Again, but you can go through and see how we're trying to be very detailed on what they need to do and how they do it. If you look at Mitchell's weight, body fat, he was a guy that we got in and have really tried to groom, long frame, but he was lean getting here. I think he was 240 when we got him out of high school. It doesn't bother me at all as long as we're giving him tools and we're monitoring him getting obviously bigger, faster, stronger, but his weight gain, his body fat's not going up too much. And then just nutritional ed. We don't have sports nutritionists at our place. We're not sports nutritionists. We don't claim to be. We get with our nutritionists on campus and we do the best we can at providing feedback to these guys. So if you look here, like at the top, Burke, Hayden, 11, 16, 20, that was his body fat percentage. That's his body weight. Obviously he has goals, things that we're trying to get him to do. We try to be very realistic about it, but this is hanging up in every one of our team rooms. Like the O-line has one up, the D-line has one up. So these guys are looking at this thing daily. And let's talk about body fat. So, I understand that can get expensive. We've gone to just using body calipers. I understand there's error. I think depending on what you read, maybe a 3 to 5% error on that. But we have 3 strength coaches and they're the only ones doing it. Obviously, they're getting good at it. It's a very cost-effective way to measure body fat. But to me, you can't give a kid a weight goal if you don't know his body fat. And we've got the guys that are too heavy. Yes, we understand that, but we also have the guys that are too skinny and you're trying to put weight on. Well, if you're not giving them accuracy on their body fat, I just think you're doing them a disservice. So we get really in depth on body comp and body weight. And then nutritional ed, we talk about our self-care checklist. One of the things that I think we do a great job on is trying to educate our guys on sleep, the importance of 8 hours of sleep. If you look in the top right, there's a sleep score app that's totally free that we have our guys use. They hit it before they go to bed. All right. So we're challenging them to get 8 hours of sleep a day. And this is in season or in spring ball. We're challenging them to drink a gallon of water before they get over to practice. We're challenging them to eat a snack before practice. And if you look in the middle there, MyFitnessPal, again, a totally free thing that you can use. I mean, it tracks everything. So if you're trying to get a guy to gain weight, he's not gaining weight, or a guy to lose weight, he's not losing weight. It's just real simple. They're not eating properly. And again, just giving them the tools free. It doesn't cost anything, mandating that, brother, you got to fill this thing out so we know how many calories you're eating. And, then they simply are showing you, reporting to you, texting it to you. And so you can keep logged on it. of what these guys are doing. So I think it's a very effective way to teach young men, young people how to eat properly when we don't have all the diet nutrition specialists. We have some product at our place, but again, we're not a non-Power 5 or Power 5 FBS program. We have limited resources. And so, we've got to get guides to utilize all the tools at their disposal. This is a thing we do that I love. It just talks about low GI, moderate GI, high GI, just foods. We're trying to teach them what foods high glycemic to moderate to low, that, hey man, here's the things you need to eat. Here's the things you don't need to eat. Because as we all know, they don't know that stuff. So again, you give them a laminated copy, they hang it up at their house, and we send it out to them. They log a lot of this stuff on their phone. So when they go shopping, hopefully that they're making really, really good decisions on. So with that being said, I've come to my 45 minutes. I really appreciate you taking time to be here with me today. There's my contact information. If you have any questions about what you saw today or want to talk more, I'm certainly open to that. I would really welcome that. Just reach out to me. You might have to be a little bit patient because we're getting ready to start spring football. But thank you very much.